Okay, so welcome in everyone. This is the Agnihotra Ladies, the Cosmic Clinic. I am the Agnihotra Lady, and we're broadcasting live here at Shantivilla Institute at the Atlanta campus, Shantivilla, Atlanta in Conyers, Georgia. Our main campus is in historic Tuskegee, Alabama, right up the street from Tuskegee University. And tonight's talk is the power of the human collective. We'll be talking about the human collective and how quantum physics plays in the part of the daily lives of all humans. Okay, so it's a very interesting talk. I guess all the talks are very interesting. So I'm glad that you're joining me this Saturday. So let's go ahead and get started with the Varuti Rantra, and then we can go ahead and jump into the talk. Swaha Agniye Idamama Swaha Wayave Idamama Swaha Surya Idamama Burga Swaha Raja Patiye Idamama. Okay, so let's jump into the talk. So tonight's talk is called The Power of the Human Collective. And it's something that I gave a lot of thought to the last week or so with talk of all of the things that are happening with the supply chain, about the delays in shipping of items that people need worldwide, not just here in the United States. But I was speaking with someone that was talking about how delays and the supply chain is messed up, and things are it's going to be a shortage of olive oil because uh, there is some kind of plant disease with the olive trees, and it started off on just one part of Italy, and now they're saying that more than 20 million trees have died, and because of this plant disease, and now it's all the olive trees in Italy. So not only that, but tampons, and of course in the United States we have the baby formula issue, but there's going to be even more delays of items that people use on a daily basis. And so they were saying this is really something that people need to realize, that we depend on other countries. That's a comment that they made. They said, we think that we don't need these other countries, but we really do. And of course, because of the war with Ukraine and Russia, there's of course the shortage of the wheat and I believe sunflower oil, that both those places provide to that part of the world. And so now, because of what's happening with olive oils, that then everybody's going to be going to the same source for oils and things like that. And I said, well, you know what? Nobody is an island. We depend on each other. That's the main thing that I got from this. And I said, I don't really see this as a supply chain issue as much as is a human chain issue. You have supply chain and the human chain, and this is something that will cause a big pause for a lot of people, because we're not uh, separate from other people, and we depend on each other. And so this supply chain issue, I think, points to the bigger spiritual lesson that people have to learn, that we're not alone. Something that's happening over in Ukraine and Russia is affecting supply chain issues here in this country, all over the world. So what's happening over there affects us, here in America. Um, and what we do here in America affects people that live in other parts of the world. So the supply chain, which has to do with things that we um, produce, and they have to be shipped so people can get to them. That is the basis of capitalism. And then in terms of like the human experience, um, what we're set forth to do is that we're to increase our spiritual development. Spiritual development always comes first before anything else. So we're here to do that, to increase our understanding and increase um, our connection and alignment with the Creator and all of creation and nature. And then, even more importantly, I think people are realizing too, we're here to take care of our brothers and sisters. Okay, you're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So that is the human capital. So the human chain, we don't have capitalism in that way. The human chain, the human experience, that is our capital, the human capital. So we have supply chain and we have human chain. And so this is the lesson, the very important spiritual lesson that we're here to learn during these challenging times. And so as I mentioned this to this person that was like, wow, they never thought about supply chain and human chain, that this is a human issue. And I said, yeah, it's a spiritual lesson because, we're not alone. We think that we don't need these other countries. We don't think that we need each other. But what happens to our brothers and sisters, they affect us. And so we as caretakers, the lesson is that we are to take care of the planet and take care of our fellow brothers and sisters. And that is the human experience, the human capital. And this is what leads to this human collective. And it reminds me of a speech that Martin Luther King Jr. did, I believe, in 1967 on Christmas Eve, where he was talking about, actually, coincidentally, he was giving a speech talking about the war in Vietnam and everything. But what I found interesting about his speech is that he was talking about how interdependent we all were. He was talking about how, your daily activities remind you how connected, how interdependent we are with each other. He talked about how you drink a cup of coffee in the morning, and that comes by way to you from someone in South America. And, he was just talking about the food that you're eating. It's, you depend upon a farmer. And, the toast you eat, you depend upon a baker. So he was talking about how interdependent we were, and that this was part of the human experience. And so he went on to talk about things of the war and how to bring about peace. But he said that for any of these things to be solved, we have to realize that we as humans are interdependent. So that's the what I was reminded of. That was Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech that he did in 1967 on Christmas Eve, and that's what I'm reminded of. So you know, we have to understand that if we do not tend to our brothers and sisters, that we're not tending to ourselves. So loving your neighbor as you love yourself, you would take care of yourself. We have to understand the struggles of the person that lives in our neighborhood, our street, our community, someone that lives in the next city or town, someone that lives in the next state, in another country, on the other side of the world, because we're not that far apart. And when you think about it like that, just the daily actions of all the humans on this planet, that is the process of what we call quantum physics. What affects something here affects something on the other side of the world or another place. And that is quantum physics. So we as human beings, we are living that scientific principle of quantum physics. So how do we connect, or how do we get to the place where we're helping each other on a daily basis with any of these struggles that people are having with food security, or getting adequate housing, or proper employment? If someone's having medical issues, we have to understand this, that it's our duties to take care of our fellow brothers and sisters. And so, as you know, for those of you who don't tune into the show, when I do this on Saturday, at Shantivilla Institute, we teach the ancient Ayurvedic knowledge of Agnihotra, which is a very powerful practice that we do, that is in sync with the circadian rhythm of nature. So what we do is we get dried cow dung, we get rice, brown rice, we get ghee, and we put this in a copper pyramid. So at sunrise and sunset, we say a Sanskrit mantra at exact time at sunrise or sunset. And then there's a cleansing that takes place of the environment. And there's a release of energies, ethers, and electricities that happen at those times at sunrise and sunset. And so we're able to restore the atmosphere and purify the planet, and everything that grows on the planet and thrives on the planet. We're able to heal the planet, and in turn, we're able to heal ourselves. And this is an ancient Ayurvedic practice that will bring about people understanding how connected we are to each other. And so there's subtle energies at play when we perform Agnihotra, and there's quantum physics involved. And so the more that you're performing Agnihotra, the more we're digging into what it is to be a human, that experience, and being a part of the human collective. Because like I said before, we're all interdependent. We're not by ourselves. And it's even more so at the forefront of our minds as we deal with these shortages. People are coming together, helping people to find sources for food, or the baby formula, and all these things. So now it's something that we can't escape. And so on the subtle level, there is something that is happening with the fire, where the electrons are jumping to one flame to the next. And there's a subtleness there that brings about a lot of power when you sit in front of the pyramid, when you perform the Agnihotra. And so you as the performer, and you're doing this Agnihotra at sunrise and sunset, there's something subtle that happens within you, that happens with your thinking. So with our thoughts, there's subtlety, okay? And so there's something that even goes beyond quantum physics. That's right, I said it. It goes beyond quantum physics, because in science, they're always measuring things scientifically, and we can do all these measurements. However, when you're talking about subtle powers, okay, subtlety, there's things that cannot be measured scientifically. There's no instrumentation that can measure it. And that's the power that I'm speaking of. And that is really the power that I'm saying that we can tap into as the human collective, because the subtle power is the real power. And this is how we can make a change and understand that we're not alone. So, like I said, once again, this capitalism, and I understand we all have to buy things and this is how we survive and how we make money, but it's not about the modern capitalism, it's about the human capital, okay? The human chain. Forget the supply chain. That's just a material output of a deeper spiritual issue. So the human capital, once we tap into really what it is, what is the capital that you provide as a human? Okay, as a human being, you don't have to produce. Capitalism, you have to produce, and then you have to ship something for someone to receive it. But as a human being, you just simply exist as a being. You don't have to produce. Like I said before, the only thing that you're meant to do is to do your self-development. And if everyone is working on their self-development, then guess what? Then automatically your fellow brothers and sisters are taken care of. Because your self-development, you understand that the human collective, that is the most wonderful capital ever produced on this planet. It is part of the universal order, the universal principle, and this is our alignment with the Creator, God, and part of what we're supposed to be doing. So understand that these material things that we need, that we cannot escape from the inevitability of our human capital, our experience of taking care of each other and taking care of the planet. And so when we perform Agnihotra, we are reminded that our minds are rejuvenated by the fire. We're purified. We understand that we're not alone. We do away with greed and jealousy, and we become more loving and giving. And this is a time that we have to tap into that and to get our subtle natures in sync with what creation is about and the natural order. This is the universal law that cannot be escaped. So no matter all these things that are happening, these things that we read in the headlines, it all goes back to what you produce in your subtle nature, which is something that you don't have to work at in the same way with your intellectual thinking. So the thinking becomes empowered by the subtle nature when you sit still, and then you begin to understand who you really are. And then with that thinking becomes a level that turns into non-thinking. And that means that whatever the thoughts that we produce, then there's a certain way that we speak. And then we're not speaking as much. And then there's a subtle nature there. And this is when we get into the area that goes beyond quantum physics. Because like I said before, we're used to measuring everything. Everything has to be measured. Okay, that is the modern world, the human way of thinking. Everything has to be measured, quantified. We have to collect data and understand that on the spiritual journey, that you don't have to, you're not data driven. It's experience driven, and it is based upon you sitting still, meditating, doing yoga, filling your heart with love, forgiving people, helping people, having compassion, okay? Doing away with the things that don't serve us, doing away with gossip, and knowing that you're not in competition with your brothers and sisters. You're here to help and aid. And so can we tap into the human capital, the human chains, knowing that the chains that I speak of with the human chain is us holding our hands together, whether we do it physically or energetically. That's the human chain. So we got supply chain here, and then we have human chain here. And what do you think is the more powerful of those two things is the human chain, because the human chain, that is the human collective, which is a common thread that we all share, no matter where we live and what race we are, what religion we are, what our politics are. This is the common thread that connects everyone. Everyone. So that is the most valuable capital to invest in, is yourself as the human, as part of the human collective. So for those that do Agnihotra on a regular basis, because we're cleansing the air and the water, okay, and we're putting nutrients back into our soil, this is a very good practice to get the planet back in balance, because right now it's imbalanced because of the pollution, and because of the pollution that we have on every corner of the globe, where the food is tainted, the air is not clean, we have unclean water. This creates a great deal of stress for the animals and our human bodies, and of course our thoughts with thought pollution. So we have to balance these things out. All of the chaos from the extreme violent events we've seen happening, with problems with our food being contaminated and other things, is in direct relation to what is happening with the planet pollution wise. We have more incidences of disease and all of these things because of the pollution that is pervasive everywhere. There's a lot of stress that our bodies are holding, that our minds are holding, and we have to be able to have a relief to release these things. So with daily performance of Agnihotra, you are forming a protective bubble. It goes 8 miles up and it's a 2-mile radius. And this is something that cleanses the air, cleanses the water, cleanses the pathogenic bacteria from the air, it puts nutrients back into the soil. And so there's a restoring and a balance of the planetary cycle. And know that we as humans, we're part of that cycle. Okay, are we not? Let's not forget who we are, because we are citizens of this planet, of the universe. It doesn't matter which country we come from. We're citizens of the planet first, in the universe. And so whatever's happening to the planet Earth, it most certainly is happening to the planet of our bodies, our physical bodies. So we have to do these things that reset the planet. And then you'll find that there will be receding of all these diseases and all these chaotic events, because now we understand that the producing of all the resources and utilizing these resources, the trees and the water, and making money off these resources, that's not really serving us, because the planet is here for everyone to use. And we cannot treat the trees as commodities, as resources, or our water, and monetizing that and making it not easily accessible to everyone. That is a great travesty that we've done to our fellow brothers and sisters, because the trees and the water, they are here to serve every living thing on this planet. Okay? And we shouldn't have people that are homeless. Okay? We shouldn't, everyone should be able to have access to clean water and healthy food and housing. And so now we see, and it breaks my heart, we see people that are these tent cities, people living out of their cars, and now with the extreme weather and the heat, a lot of people are suffering because they can't keep cool because of the extreme heat. And so just understand that because of the engineering that has been done with our weather, and is tampered with the seasons, and the water levels and the winds, and we have tornadoes. When you perform Agnihotra on a regular basis, Agnihotra does weather engineering that's not harmful. Okay, you get proper seeding of the clouds. Okay, the water becomes clear. You don't have to worry about big tidal waves. Everything becomes in perfect order. So remember, in the natural law and the ancient ways, this has been taught for thousands of years, and how to live in sync with nature. So now there's a big movement now of people trying to get back in alignment with the natural order. How do you live in sync with your environment? How do you pay attention to the cycles of the planet, and how do they coincide with you? So in Ayurveda, we are taught, and it's the teaching is, you know, how do you live in harmony with all that is around you? How do you understand yourself, the planet, and your relationship to all the people and creatures that live on this planet, and your place in the universe? And that is the basis of Ayurveda. You know, who are you? What is your purpose on this planet? How do you preserve the planet? So with Agnihotra, you're dealing with purification, purifying, cleaning the planet, purifying your thoughts. Okay. And this is on so many different levels, and we have forgotten how to be in sync with the natural ways, because we've gotten so mesmerized, I will say, by technology, that we forget that the original technology, the ancient technology, has sustained people for millions of years. Okay. The original technology, which has to do with being in sync with nature, this is the most powerful technology that people are now embracing and going back to, because there is no choice. With all of the technological advances that we have pursued and we're in the midst of, why do we have so many problems? Okay, why is it hard to solve these problems? And why is it that when we solve this one problem, then we have another problem crop up here, or we make the problem originally that we were trying to work on, we make it worse? And it's because we've forgotten about the natural order. And so Agnihotra is a way for us to tap back into the universal law, okay, of taking care of the water and the trees, taking care of the bees, taking care of the soil, okay, the water, everything. And then, of course, you're taking care of yourself. So universal law states that when the planet is off kilter, when it's sick, then so we are as people. So it's really important that we understand that whatever's happening to the trees and the water and the soil and our food, that these are creating physical changes within our human bodies, as well as changes subtly with us too, as humans. And the human experience, the human capital, which makes us part of the human collective, has to do with us understanding that there is a link between every single thing on this planet that links to our bodies and our hearts and the way we think. Okay, and we can't escape that. So we have to understand and treat the soil, treat the plants and flowers, the animals, as the holy sacred things that they are. And that's when we can really begin to heal all the problems that we have on this planet, and whatever problems we think we have going on in our lives day to day, with relationships or with money, our jobs, or our children, they'll be going to go away, because we have a new way of thinking. We rejuvenated the planet, and we rejuvenated our way of thinking and understand our place, our proper place in restoring the balance, the universal balance. So I just want you to think about these things that we're sharing with you this evening and understand that supply chain is just a symptom of the bigger spiritual issue of the human chain. To understand that once we tap into and understand the subtle nature of our beings, okay, then we can solve all these problems and understand whatever is happening here in the United States, it affects someone in the Ukraine or Russia. What's happening over there affects people over here in other parts of the world. That's the quantum physics of our actions, of our thoughts, of our deeds, and that we have to get beyond that. It's we over here and them over there. No. In quantum physics, we understand that what happens in one place affects action in another place. So we have to really understand that on the deepest level, that we are interdependent. And once we get that understanding, then we tap into the power of the human collective. And that is the message that we wanted to share with you this evening. And so before we leave, I just wanted to share with you our website. It is Shantivilla Institute. That's SHANTI, villainstitute.com. And we have our Agnihotra kits for sale for those that would like to practice Agnihotra. We have, these are the items that come with it, tongues, and everything's copper. Spoon or tray, our stand, our cup, and here's the copper pyramid. So you can see what it looks like. So, and then it has a little booklet too as well. Right here, where is the booklet? Here's the booklet that it comes with. So you can get started with that. So we have the Agnihotra kit. And then we have books too. We have ebooks available right now. The Secret Science of Mudras, written by Sri Charles. And it talks about mudras that you do with your hands and fingers that bring about a healing through your body, through the channels. You have 72,000 nerves that run through the nadi system. And when you're doing the mudras, you're activating the points, energy points in your body to bring about a healing. So that we have a mudra book. And then what else do we have here? We have plant food. I don't have the bottle right next to me, but we also have plant food, Ayurvedic plant food. And then if you're here in the Conyers area, we have Ayurvedic compost for sale, because we do have a small garden here as well. And I teach garden education at that location as well too. So our phone number is 334-740-6440. I always get the number confused. And of course, you can email us at shantivillainstitute@gmail.com. As always, feel free to message me on Facebook on either of our Shantivilla Atlanta or Shantivilla Institute pages. Or you can email or give us a call. We're here to answer your questions. So you have a beautiful evening, and I will talk to you the next time.